Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Grand Prix Legends here on Racebot TV and on iRacing Live. It's Will Vinson and Connery Maddock. We are just a few moments away from going racing once again on Friday night primetime. It is a series that you, the iRacing community, tell us that you want to see. So welcome then to Friday night primetime, and welcome, Connery, to Grand Prix Legends.
Yeah, hello everyone, and well, another Friday primetime, another very, very interesting pairing, shall we say. It is the Lotus 49s going to be heading their way around the full Nürburgring Nordschleife, and I can't wait to see how this one gets off to its start, actually, as we are going to cross over into the race session now, and the qualifying grid is set by a separate qualifying session that you can enter at any time. So only 8 drivers actually qualified. The rest of those drivers will have to start in the 9th to 16th positions.
Yeah, and there's the qualifying grid now up on your screen for you. AJ Bear, pole position for him as we are getting ready to go racing. There is the grid then up on your screen. 16 drivers will be taking on the Nordschleife here this evening. And well, Connor, we talked about this off air. You know, it's a very long, very hard, very tough track, and arguably the toughest combination there is. Because yes, the Lotus 79, with all its ground force, it forces you to try and go as quickly as possible. At some points here, it's all about survival.
Yeah, these cars are from a time where downforce was not really known about, ground effect not really known about, and well, it's just the drivers to get themselves going.
Lights on. Lights out. Here we are then, racing at the Nordschleife. 6 laps here, they're going to go around this racetrack. As they already head themselves, they are using the Nordschleife only here today, so none of this new track layout sort of stuff. So they are already heading themselves now down the first kilometre, down into the Quarterbacker Ho and that famous corner that we like to call Flugplatz.
Yeah, currently it is AJ Bear currently leading this one from the front, then over Trinidad in P number 3, and William Wright has made his way up into that third step of the podium as it is right now, battling behind between the 3 and I believe that was the 5 there actually, as the Gaggle cars decide to head their way down towards Flugplatz now. Simon J. Shaw actually losing a bunch of positions here as they come across the top of the hill. Yep,
there is Shaw in that number 12 Club UK and Ireland machine. Might be worth actually having a second look, trying to see where he lost all of this time. Here's a replay then coming up for you now. I can't really say turn 5 here at this track. Can't really say any turn number, but as he just dances over the curbs there, car starts to get unsettled, and what's going to happen is you're going to have cars just swarming to his outside. Yeah, he pushes wide. There's one. He's offline already, and that means he can't put the power down as he runs down the Quarterbacker Ho on that run towards Flugplatz there. Just quite simply, that inside line just cost him a ton of momentum.
Yeah, that's really one of the sections of track which you really do have to maximize, because if you don't, then your run is compromised all the way down across the top of Flugplatz, all the way down towards even Arenberg at that point as well. So you can't be affording to get that bit of track wrong, as we might be seeing some side-by-side action here between the number 11 and the number 5, just heading their way through, not really fighting. That one was Tommy Unhla there in the number 11, just letting the driver through, and Michael Morrison is going to be the driver behind him.
Yeah, indeed. So live timing and scoring will be available momentarily here on Racebot TV and on iRacing Live. Just visit racebot.tv/timing to get up to date with that one. Of course, the only difficulty is going to be in this race. We only got 6 laps. Oh, we got a car off, and that is the number 11 machine of Tommy Unhulard there. He is out of the event. And that was a hard hit there by him. Replay coming up for you now.
Yeah, just actually the car just broke away from him coming into the slight left-hander, heading the way down towards the bottom of the valley, and then he also got on top of the curb as well, completely unsettled the car. And there's also well, there's Michael Morrison running into the back of him. Morrison pretty much had nowhere to go, and the brakes and these things aren't really the greatest things, so you can't really slam on the anchors to try and avoid that one. And Michael Morrison going to get away with a little bit of damage, but Unhla, he's pretty much out.
Yeah, he is indeed. There's a look then. Just runs over the curb into the guardrail. Game over. And the guardrails at this track It is, of course, very, very close to the racetrack. As we just see, having a look there, and out of the event will be that driver. We've also got ourselves Mario Azzano. He is out of this event as well. AJ Bear is leading the way right now over that number 6 machine. Ove is in that car, and actually Ove's putting a bit of a battle on Bear right now.
Yes, he's not really letting him get away, and well, let's hope this fight does continue all the way until the end of the 6 laps that we have to complete here at the Nürburgring. Oh, he gets onto the grass on the driver's right-hand side there, and almost again there.
William Wright's out.
That was a scary, scary moment.
They are dropping like flies in the early going here today. Here is another look then at the driver of William Wright having a spin or something. Yeah, just losing the back end of that car, tugging the Armco barrier there. Driver's left-hand side of the car is damaged. He's now well down the field and classified as out of this motor race. We've lost 3 already, and we've only barely started getting going here at the Nordschleife.
Yeah, losing 3 cars by, well, not even, well, we're just coming towards the middle part of the first lap here, so losing 3 cars and not even having half the first lap completed, that's not really good going, but with how punishing these cars are and how punishing this track is, in another way, you could say that's not exactly surprising.
Yeah, indeed. So there is Ove then, and Trengereed as he is within about 0.7 of a second. We've got a battle going on behind, however. This is Gary Teal versus Jeff Tyler. We're on board with the driver of Tyler right now as they work themselves through the forest, the Eiffel Mountains, as they call it here at the Nordschleife. Big wiggle there by Gary Teal in that number 7 machine. That puts Jeff Tyler off just a little bit. This is a very high-speed section of the racetrack here. Kilometer 10 through to kilometer 11 they're going through right now. In a moment's time, they'll come down to the one corner we all know about. The only corner that we can actually identify where we really are on track there, Connery, that is Carousel.
Yep, and they've actually already gone past that track, yep. So it just shows how we know where we are on the track. We're coming up towards the Kleiner Carousel.
That's what I mean.
The end of the lap anyway, so, well, it's all good.
Yeah. As you can see, you've got 2 carousels here at this racetrack, and they're so famous, and so much of this track, of course, there are drivers who have turned thousands, and I mean thousands of laps here, not just on iRacing, but you go back and you talk about the other sims, Grand Prix legends in itself, the amount of laps people's done at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. I think that any motor racing fan, it's on their bucket list to one day drive a lap around this racetrack. Onto the Dottinger Hoe then. Jeff Tyler will get the initial draft, doesn't need to use it. He moves himself ahead of Gary Teal for the time being. However, of course, this is a very long straightaway, and that means that these guys will pretty much be side by side for about the next 25 seconds.
Yep, they will be, as Gary Teal will actually come back on driver's right-hand side, heading under the bridge there, and actually going to surrender the position just for now for Jeff Tyler, but he's going to try and come back. No, he's going to back out of the move, coming towards the final couple of corners here, and that's Gary Teal just thinking, well, it's the first lap of 6, and these are very, very long laps here at the Nordschleife. There's no point in me trying to sling one down the inside and taking us both out.
Yeah, indeed so. So, on to lap number 2 we go then at the Nordschleife. This is the battle for 3rd place right now. Although you battle out front, it has gotten closer, partially because of the Dottinger Hoe and the fact that Ove was able to close that position just a little bit. The gap between Bear and Trengereed right now is 0.3 of a second as they head themselves on lap number 2, working themselves through that S section of the racetrack. They'll head themselves over the river and towards Flugplatz once again on lap number 2. As well, I'll tell you one thing, that over Trengereed, they've put 11 seconds over the rest of the field on lap number 1.
They have, and I just gotta laugh every single time that these cars just take off over the top of Flugplatz. All 4 wheels pretty much come off the ground, and well, you know, it's just a very, very scary moment. You have absolutely no control in that situation. But yeah, these drivers are absolutely off and away at the front. 11.4 seconds it was at the end of the first lap. It's extended to around about 11.7 seconds already, and we haven't even got through a quarter of the second lap yet. That's how fast these guys at the front are running. As I noticed, it's basically been splitting up into like pairs now. We've got this pair at the front. We've got a pair for what's going to be third place between Jeff Tyler, Gary Teal, but that one's splitting up. Then another pair for P number 5 between Michael Morrison and Benjamin Soko as well.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. Trengereed there just had a big moment as they worked themselves down towards Arenberg then. And here's a replay on board of him. It was then, I'm almost going to lose this car. I'm almost going to lose it. Wait a minute. I'm going to save it. What a save. 45 degrees, perpendicular to the racetrack, just as they go over the Volkswagen sign now that's kind of written on the track. And that's one thing I do like about the Nordschleife. And many people will know that I'm not the biggest fan of this racetrack, but the fact that I love the way that people have written so many little inspirational little tidbits. And as you explore the racetrack, you get to see them. And for me, I think that's what gives it its character.
Yeah, it's one of the most characterful racetracks that there ever has been, and probably the most characterful track there ever will be. It's an absolutely legendary track at this point, and well, it's very, very good if you're just a hot lap. As you said, there's many people that just hot lap this track day in, day out, and they know every single one of the very, very, very many corners of this racetrack. And well, for racing, I think it's not quite as good as for hot lapping, but it's still an absolute legend of a track.
Yeah, I mean, this actually, we always have to say that, you know, we do VLN series, we've done DGFX here before. You know, those races, because it's multi-class, it adds another dimension to it. When you do single-class racing around here, it becomes slightly more difficult. It's very, actually, I would say this is probably one of the hardest events to try and commentate, as we've actually got now Benjamin Zorko there trying to put the move over Michael Morrison in the number 9 Club Ohio machine. We've got the gold leaf colours, of course, on the driver of Zorko in that number 3 machine. But commentating a race here is actually a lot harder than many people give it credit for.
Yeah, but you can have as many live track maps and live timing apps as you can, but unless you're really, really experienced with this track, you're never quite sure exactly where you are, and it just takes you a couple of seconds to try and figure that one out. But I think we're doing okay here as we're coming towards the carousel now for AJ Bear and over Trengereed here. Sorry, as we've been butchering the pronunciation of that name for pretty much every single race Ove is in. I hope he doesn't mind much, Will.
You know, you get used to it in the end. As third place, it's Jeff Tyler in the number 5 machine. He is 13 seconds behind Ove. And then you got yourself Gary Teal running himself in P number 4. You can then see the battle that we've been looking at recently. That is Michael Morrison and the driver of Benjamin Zorko there. Fantastic look at the carousel. One of, I would say, you can put the carousel alongside the swimming pool chicane at Monaco, alongside Turn 1 at Indianapolis, alongside the Air Rouge Radio Complex as one of the most iconic corners in the world.
Yeah, you really can, and well, I kind of do want to experience it for myself, going on to one of these, the guided tours that they have of the racetrack with a driver. Unfortunately, I don't have a driving license, so unfortunately, I can't do it myself. Next year, I think, when we go to Sim Racing Expo, maybe a little bit before that, if the track is open. But yeah, I kind of really want to just trying to experience what this track is all about in the real world.
Yeah, and there's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know on social media what your thoughts are. Would you rather drive a lap on the Nürburgring or be driven around the Nürburgring by someone like Sabine Schmidt? Let us know. You can follow us on social media, of course, at RaceBot TV on Twitter, /RaceBot TV on Facebook. Here is Ove once again as they move themselves now towards kilometer 15 and 16 on this track as they work themselves through another corner I cannot pronounce. They'll come themselves through the demi-carousel right now, that final little section before they head themselves towards Dottinger Hoe. I think actually Ove's got the chance to go for the race lead here.
Yep, he's definitely close enough to maximize whatever slipstream that these cars produce. As he's around about, I'd say, just under 0.6 of a second back. He's going to start to claim that back now, as that time does start to drop. The relative time between those two drivers is actually, he's going to be a little bit too far back. You have to feel coming towards the end of the lap here is the number 6 driver, but you can see that time is being gained as he closes up all the way under the bridge now, and nope, he's not going to be close enough, definitely. But it just means that he's not out of the toe just yet. And that's what AJ Bear has to focus on breaking that toe to Tenderid here and try and get himself into what is basically clear air front and back.
So we've been looking on board and listening with Ove Trengerid there. I will say, actually, the damage on the front end of that car of Ove, Connery, is something we haven't yet talked about. And yes, we know these cars were pretty much, you know, bashed out of sheet metal in a shed in northern England. Well, eastern England, let's say. But I think that damage to that tubular frame, as you just see there again, all four wheels going off on the run into Fluplat, I think that damage is just affecting its straight line speed a little bit.
Yeah, it is, but the thing is, usually if this was any other race, usually they bring it down on the bits and just try and bash that back into shape pretty much with a hammer, like they do in still do in the NASCAR series, actually. But yeah, again, like it's just, as I said, seeing these guys take off over Flugplatz is always amazing, and it's kind of you know, because that's what it kind of is in German, is flying place or something like that. I'm pretty sure some of our German viewers can correct me on that one, but they are literally flying over that section.
Yeah. Let's go back down the field a little bit. We've got a battle going on P number 9, P number 10 right now. Simon Shaw lost a couple of places early on versus Don Good from Club West in the number 15 car. As they just go over the jump. And gap between these two drivers, 1.2 seconds. Just trying to compare their last lap times. And sorry, I'm just having a look through there. And yeah, they're doing very similar lap times at the moment, actually, Connery.
Yeah, very, very similar indeed. As well, these are the only couple of battles that we're watching right now. Is battle for the lead, battle for P number 5, and also battle, and actually turning into a 3-car battle for P number 8. It's going to be, and it's Covey Soto versus Shaw versus Don Good here. They're a little bit separated on track right now, but there's always the possibility that these couple of cars can close themselves up. So Covey Soto just has to focus on not letting that happen, and Simon Shaw has definitely caught him over this lap here, as Covey Soto was faster on the last lap by about a second, just over a second, but Shaw has definitely reeled that gap back in.
Yeah, indeed. So as the gap is 1.1 seconds then between P number 8 and P number 9. Between P number 9 and P number 10, we're looking at a gap of 1.5. So Good actually has lost about a half a second. Oh, he's going to lose a whole lot more. He's out.
Yep, curse of the commentator there, Will, as it's just a single car incident coming into left hand. He just completely misses the apex and car just tracks out, and it just has a little bit of a lazy spin into the Armco barrier there. Well, and I don't think his car's too damaged as a result. He can get that car spun back around, but that was it seemed like a very, very lazy incident. It's like the incident happened over the course of like 10 seconds.
Yep, that crash is brought to you by Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, trying hard not to make you hit an Armco barrier. Don Good there, down in P number 10. So we're back down to a 2-horse race for P number 8 and P number 9. Also having a look at a 2-horse race for P number 5 and P number 6 right now. We got ourselves Zuko 1.1 second ahead of Michael Morrison. He just eked out a couple of tenths a second himself.
Yeah, he did, and I'm just having a look at Michael Morrison's car, and again, it's like a characteristic, a little bit of front-end damage to a couple of these cars, P number 2 and also P number 6. Michael Morrison with that front-end damage, but the good thing is about these cars, the aerodynamic damage doesn't really affect them much because they don't really have much aerodynamics to speak of, so it won't be too much of an issue. It could be affecting his straight line speed at least a little bit in their way down the Docking Ho as he comes into the carousel now for the 3rd time, still trying to catch Benjamin Soko ahead of him, and well, he's going to be within the toe, but the thing is, these cars don't give much of a toe. They don't punch that big of a hole in the air.
They don't. Let's go back to battle for the race lead for the moment, as AJ Bear continues to lead. He has led every corner of this motor race so far. I do also like the fact that the drivers have kept the kind of idea of sponsorship back in the 1960s kind of at heart here, because there's basically just one sponsor on these cars. The drivers haven't tried to make it too complicated. They haven't tried to, you know, pixelate everything. They've kept it nice and simple. And as someone who does like, you know, realism, I think that's one of those little things that makes this Lotus 49 series very special.
Yep, it really does. A lot of the paint you see on services like Trading Places are all super flashy with modern sponsors, but these guys, they, as you said, they keep it simple, they keep it true to what it would have been like back then with the car liveries, and it's absolutely fantastic to see. And it's also something that the Lotus 79 guys do as well with their classic liveries in their series. It just adds a little bit of the extra realism that we always strive for in sim racing.
You can see there a couple of technical issues from the driver in front of us, but we're having a look on board of Ove, and I'm showing the speed chart right now because I want to show an understanding of how fast this car is going. Because, you know what, I could not drive a car around a lap of the Nürburgring in a Lotus 49 if you were to pay me $10,000 to do a lap. Quite literally, it's impossible. But here we're looking now at Ove. He's going up to 197, 200 miles an hour, 202 miles an hour. He's going for the race lead right now. He's got the race lead in towards the final couple of corners here as Devil's Diner will come up. And he's holding a car through a corner at 197 miles an hour. This is why we give so much respect to this Lotus 49 community.
Yep, and it's also why we give so much respect to the old the Formula drivers of old. You know, it's just like you basically need balls of steel to drive these cars in real life, and you know, one wrong move and you're pretty much dead. That's just, you know, let's not sugarcoat it. You're pretty much dead if you have an accident in one of these cars, and to do that in the real life series, it's just absolutely insane. I could have never have done it for the life of me.
Let's run through your field very briefly here as we pass the halfway distance on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live. Jeff Tyler runs himself in the third place right now. He's pretty much secured that because he's got an 8.4 second advantage right now over Gary Teal in that number 7 Virginia's car. And it does look as though that Tyler is continuing to pull that gap ahead. He was 3 seconds faster around this 20-kilometer racetrack last time by.
Yep, he was, and well, he's just basically in a little bit of no man's land right now. There's around about 21.7 seconds to AJ Bear and P number 2 ahead of him, and it's a further around about just over 8 seconds between himself and the car behind him. So he just has to focus on really just getting towards the end of this race now, as we're actually just coming up towards over half distance now in this race. So it's just going to be nice and easy for Gary Till to get himself to the end of this race now.
Yeah, we just had a look at the driver Ozoko. He was running in P5, he still is in P number 5, but now he's got an advantage over Scott Edwards. And I'll tell you one thing, there's not a clean car by the looks of it on the racetrack, but let's just listen in to Scott Edwards for a moment. Kaboom. Up, over, down. That is Flugplatz. And again, you know what? I get bored of Herman Tilke tracks very quickly. I think, you know, Circuit of the Americas, it was done okay. Turkey, it was done okay. Malaysia, it was done okay. They don't make racetracks like this anymore.
No, they don't. There's actually a couple of people in the chat just pointing out Flugplatz means pretty much airport, or little airports there. Yes. So it's very relevant. It's very relevant to what these cars are doing at the moment. And I kind of want sort of more iconic sort of corners, more iconic sections on more of the modern tracks. And of course, you know, it takes a little bit of time for a particular section or a particular racetrack to become iconic. But there's no really sections on modern tracks apart from maybe Kota Turn 1 that is really like stands out to me as like, oh, this is something really, really unique.
Yeah, I mean, Turkey Turn 9 was the thing. You've got Singapore, for example, that very long straightaway, which, you know, it's almost iconic. And I think that part of that is because Singapore has a night race and they get a bit of free flow of that. What is it, Turn 6 at Azerbaijan?
What, the castle section there?
Yeah, the one that's like 2 millimeters deep. As we go back on board, actually, AJ Bear, He's trying to find a way back to getting that race lead right now. It's half a second between himself and Ove Trengerid there. But AJ Bear is struggling behind. He's sliding pretty much every corner. But also Ove, he's taking a lot of risk there. 2 wheels on the grass as they head themselves in the mountains.
Yep, taking every risk possible, and well, these guys are thankful they're not doing this in real life, otherwise they'd be a little bit more careful, you would have thought there. But AJ Bear definitely trying to get the maximum out of his car right now, and well, he's got the time and the space to do it. He's still got a couple more laps to go, and a couple more laps in a track like this is still quite a long time, and he has that 20-second advantage over P number 3, so he has time to fight and battle here as they head themselves into the carousel.
Yeah, I just had someone message me and say, is driving a lap around the Nordschleife in this car harder than doing a lap at Indianapolis? It's very close in my opinion.
You know, doing a lap at Indianapolis is easy, but doing a fast lap at Indianapolis is infinitely harder, yeah.
I would say doing a 500-mile race at Indianapolis is probably harder than doing a comparable race distance here. Doing a lap at Indianapolis, yeah, you can find your way around. It's not that hard. Doing a very fast lap is very difficult. But the thing what gets me is, as I said, these guys heading down into Tiergarten, they're doing 197 miles an hour. And there's going to be some people immediately on chat who's going to say, as Dan Good, by the way, has had a moment, there'll be some people who will immediately say to me, but yeah, Will, there's only 4 corners at Indianapolis. The issue is, it's at Indianapolis, you know, you are doing 215-ish miles an hour in some specs. You know, it's at least 200 miles an hour, and you're on skinny tyres with no downforce. Here is Dan Good, by the way. This crash is brought to you by Coca-Cola. Holidays are coming. There we are. He's out of the event, unfortunately. So now we've got a number of drivers out of this event. We've got ourselves 9 drivers still remaining. Dan Good, Michael Morrison, Tommy Uhela, Michael Sullivan, Mario Ozzano, Casper DeCourt, and William Wright are all out of this event.
Yep, they are, and well, it's kind of the expected rate of attrition, really, when you consider, as I've said before, the car and track pairing, a very tough car with a very, very tough track as well, and well, at least we have more than 50% of the runners in this event still running. It's a very, very small victory, I know, but still, the closest battle on track right now is for P number 1, P number 2, the most important positions of them all as they come towards the end of the lap, coming down the Dong Hos now. AJ Bear still trying to tuck within that slipstream. He is gaining, but the thing is, he's not close enough, or rather, I think he's not close enough, as actually he's going to get a huge overspeed, but he's just going to back out of it. He's just positioning himself for the last lap, I think, because he knows he can get this slingshot move coming down towards the final couple corners on the last lap. He doesn't need to do it now.
It's like Sunday Night Skippies, Monday Night Skippies all over again, where quite often we end up seeing people waiting until the last moment possible. Now, the thing for AJ Bear is, if he's going to stay behind Ove and he knows he's in his comfort zone, this should be easy for him, as Ove does set the fastest lap then of 6 minute 36.031. But behind that, AJ Bear, of course, we don't know what his full speed, what his full potential is. We might find out at the end of this lap. I would say, though, being in P number 1 here is more beneficial to being in P number 2, because you can take a line that makes your life a misery if you're in P number 2.
Yep, you can, and it's also all about positioning coming out of the corner just before the Dong Ho as well, and I'm not entirely sure if the draft in these cars works so that you can repass if you come down the Dong Ho and you get passed by another driver. You just tuck yourself back in the slipstream as they go for that little jump over flip-flops once again. I don't know whether you can retake the position once it's been lost in the Dong Ho. That may be the important factor that Trengerid has to consider here.
Simon Shaw has forgotten how to turn left down at Das Carousel. There he is coming into the carousel now. He kind of falls up the banking there, which is kind of counterintuitive to what the banking's supposed to do. I mean, I've seen many a crash at this racetrack before. We're having another look here. But it's very rare you see someone who attacks the banking and hits the banking correctly. He was on the banking, and he falls up the racetrack.
Yeah, that's a very weird one, and well, all oval racers will know if you take too much speed into a corner, you're always going to wash up the racetrack. But to see that happen at the carousel, that's kind of a weird one, I've got to say. Well,
yeah, it's not often you see that. Lap number 5 or 6 here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live. You're watching Friday Night Primetime. Sure, quite naturally, is down a position as a consequence of this. Don't forget, we have got more racing coming your way this weekend, and that includes the Pro Series, the Road Pro Series, the road to the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. It starts tomorrow here, live on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live. Join Johnny Simone, Connery Maddock, and Jake Sperry as they will bring you coverage of the 10 race series to find out who will be in and who will be out of the 2018 iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. We've also got ourselves a Sports Car Open on Sunday, as well as our good friends over on Sunday Night Skippies. The good thing about Sunday Night Skippies this weekend, we don't even know where the race is going to be. The drivers don't know where the race is going to be. They have to react almost immediately, Connery.
Yeah, and I believe you have done that sort of format before in the Sunday Night Skippies, if I am not mistaken.
Yep.
And well, it must be very, very tough as a driver to not know what you're going to be doing, what the race is going to be, just hours before the race. That must be a very, very scary prospect. Sometimes you win and get a track that you absolutely love to drive, and at other times you could just not get the luck of the draw and have to deal with a track that you haven't really practiced.
And then, of course, next Friday, in terms of prime time, we go to what I will say is, outside of Indy, my favorite track car combination in all of motor racing. Grand Prix cars, Montreal. This is what racing is all about, Connery, because I'll tell you one thing. Yes, there's many a boring Grand Prix race in real life and outside of sim racing. But I'll tell you one thing. Grand Prix racing at Montreal is never, ever a dull moment.
It never really is, and well, I've commentated on, I've watched many fantastic races in open wheel cars at that race circuit, and of course there have been many great races in real life as well. You've got 2011 Canada, yep, in the Formula 1 series. It's just those sorts of iconic races that the track can really just pull on a show. 2011
Canada, I'd say top 10 race of all time.
Yes, definitely.
Easily. And I think Canada's probably got 2 entries in that list, if you look, closely enough in that one. As we're having a look then at Benjamin and Zuzko right now, he's currently scored in 5th place versus Gary Teal. Now, last time by, they were separated by 4 tenths of a second around the racetrack. You know what the worst thing about next week is, being my favourite combination, Connery? I'm not here. I want to be here.
Is it something you really can't miss?
It really is something I really can't miss. That's the worst thing. I'm not even in Birmingham. That's the issue. It's such a shame, because I tell you one thing. Actually, I would say one of the greatest iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series moments, in fact, one of the greatest iRacing World Championship moments of all time, was at Canada as well. Kazuki Umeshima versus Gregor Hutu. And yet, we've had closer battles, and we've had crazier moments. We've had Kroenke versus Hutu, of course, Silverstone 2016. But I think the Umeshima moment, was the biggest heartbreak in World Championship Series history.
Yep, it was, and it was an absolute shame for Kazuki, because I know he's a driver that can really, on his day, be one of the absolute best, but it just, didn't really work out for him. But thing is, we've got Canada on the schedule for the Pro Series, so we won't be seeing Kazuki Umeshima there, of course, because I think he retained his license, but we could see more drama as drivers decide to scrap for the 10 open slots in the World Championship Series. Only 10 slots this season. So that is just going to make it all the more, just make it even tougher to get yourself into that series. I think it's going to revert back to 20 slots being open for the series afterwards, but because we're in a bit of a transition period, it's only going to be 10.
Yeah. So we've only got 9 drivers on track right now, which is why we're limited in what we're showing. Oh, Bear's out. Replay. Okay. Gets onto the grass. Sorts that one out. Gets onto the grass again. Hits the wall. 6 seconds back right now. Final lap. Has Bear got enough in this car to survive this lap and keep P number 2?
That is the golden question. I'm looking at the onboard from him during this instant, and it seems like his steering of it's very, very wild there. So not entirely sure what has happened here, but he is still going right now, albeit with a very heavily damaged front end. I don't think the suspension is damaged here, so he might be able to get himself towards the end of this race now. He still has a huge country mile back to the next driver out there on circuit, the number 5 of Jeff Tyler, so he should be okay for P number 2, but he's lost all chance of the race win now, and Ove can basically cruise to the end.
Yeah, you know what? We haven't done any onboards in this event, and there's no drivers who are close right now. Let's go on board with Ove for a few minutes here on RaceSpot TV. This is RaceSpot TV Fan Immersion. I think it's only when you really get to understand one of these cars on board, or riding alongside them, or being in the car and doing a virtual lap, you realize just how much the likes of Jackie Stewart, Niki Lauda, Jimmy Clark put all on the line when they came to do motor racing back in the 1960s, 1970s.
Yeah, they basically, when you say they put all on the line, they literally did put all on the line. They put their lives on the line for racing, for racing glory, for the spectators as well. And it's, we're very, very thankful that safety has evolved as much as it has. But it's just, those guys doing their thing. There was just absolutely nothing like it. And they get, they deserve all of the respect that they get and more.
Yeah, into the carousel then for the final time for Ove as the gaps. Well, we have got a potential little battle going on here between Gary Teal and Benjamin Zocco. The gap is 2 seconds right now between the number 7 and the number 5 machine, and Zocco is closing over Gary Teal right now.
Yep, he is, but the issue is he going to be close enough down towards the start of the docking hood to get himself the slingshot, the draft, past the driver in front of him? Right now, he's not going to be close enough as it stands. He needs to maximize the next couple of sections here, as he's got enough time to close up that gap. It's just whether he can do it or not. We're just heading our way up towards the section that does contain the carousels. Actually, Garrett Hill pushed a little bit wide coming through the right-hander. That's going to be losing him in time as they run up towards down onto the brakes for the carousel.
Yeah, but the gap is still 1.7 seconds right now as they head themselves through the carousel and now towards what is the 13th kilometer on the track, now down towards Hoacht, as we'll turn our attention back to your race leader, Ove, because he is in the lead of the race and he is finally heading himself down towards the completion of this event as well. And Ove, not put a foot wrong in this motor race at all, Connery. I know what I say, it doesn't matter if you finish P1 or P9 in this race. If you don't put a foot wrong, that is always a victory.
Yep, it always is the case at the Nürburgring. You see it in the VLN series. Loads of drivers that have had a clean race. God, actually almost goes into the barriers there. Wow, that's, well, almost another curse of the commentator there. And, Ove, please don't scare us like that.
Yeah, that was very close. In fact, we are going to get ourselves a quick replay of that because it was that close. So we're going to try and look on board with Ove right now. There we are. Hopefully we're going to get this in our camera shot. I think we might have just missed it. But we're going to try and get a look there. Ove, he really has been running the curbs pretty much all race long, to be fair. But I think that time he just decided, you know what? I'm trying to get far. I think he's thinking Sebastian Vettel, trying to get, oh, back end comes out on him. He is so lucky. There's that little piece of paved stepping stones almost on the run into the Demi Carousel right by where he was. Otherwise, he would have been out of this motor race. The back end has slipped out completely on that race car.
Yeah, and here he is now coming through the final couple corners.
So here he comes then out the final corner. It will be Ove Drengerie coming out the final corner, spinning it! Does he get past the start-finish line? I think he does. He's going to reverse back past the start-finish line. Ove wins the motor race. He's just putting on a show for him then. Let's have a replay on board of him. That's knowing exactly where the start-finish line is. Knowing it's so early on the exit of that corner. Ove looks like he binned it, but you know what? That was style there.
Yeah, he tried to get some style points going across the line. Almost messed it up completely, but you know, a little bit of putting it in reverse gear, getting himself across the line, and he is gonna be our race winner on the top step of the podium today. As Soko and Gary Thiel, Soko ending up not in close enough coming down the docking hole as they head their way through the final couple of corners at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Gary Thiel going to be coming across the line. One more corner for him to go, and he will be taking P number 4. Zoko, perhaps one more lap needed for him to gain the position.
Yeah, indeed. So there we are as they cross the line. Zoko coming home in 5th place. Gary Thiel in 4th. Was that really worth 2x, Connery?
I don't know. What is his... well, he's got an A-class license. Like, not sure what the points exactly are, but maybe he had a little bit of room. Yeah. I mean, when you consider the amount of corners on this racetrack, maybe it doesn't matter that much.
True. So there is okay. He's done. Just waiting for the last couple of drivers then to come past the start-finish line. Scott Edwards is the driver now coming through in P number 6. There he is. Coming behind the hoardings. He now comes home in that 6th position in the number 4 machine. Now our attention will turn over to Heidi Cristo, working himself through the final couple of corners himself here. I'll tell you one thing, pit lane's the thing I hate most about this racetrack. There's a reason why. If I'm ever doing an endurance race here, Connery, I'd much rather it's got the Nürburgring side of the layout on, because I just absolutely despise pit road here.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrible, isn't it? And I completely agree with you. If you're gonna do an endurance race here, please just use the GP pit. You don't have to use the whole GP combined track. Just use the shortest GP version you can with the Nordschleife and get that over and done with.
Richard Moran now heading himself down towards the start-finish line to complete his time around the Nordschleife. He'll come home in P number 8. And again, don't forget that prime time will be back next week at Montreal in the McLaren MP430. You can catch that here with Connery Maddock and someone. We don't know who yet, Connery.
Ooh. That is very, very mysterious there, Will.
We don't quite know who it's going to be. Literally no one signed up yet. I'm waiting for Simon Shaw. The issue is we've got to fill a load of time in these sequences before we show you the final result, because we've got drivers at this track about 3-4 minutes behind the race leader. So we've got to punch the dead air, as we call it.
Yeah, we do. And, well, Simon Shaw is, well, he's going to get lucky here as we finish off his lap here. Well, let's join him for him finishing off his lap as he heads his way down the Dong-Ho. And I'm amazed at the speeds that these guys reach in these very, very old, early 1900s cars. And it's just insane. Look, he's hitting around about 314 kilometers, 316, 317, steadily climbing. And to be doing that in what is basically a tin can with the wooden suspension and wheels, it's just, yeah, that's very, very scary.
I would start pooping my pants if I was doing 150 miles an hour in a normal road car. And that's an honest thing.
Yeah.
So to be doing that in a tin can, quite literally, for Simon Shaw, it shows just how scary these cars are to drive. Simon Shaw comes past the start-finish line. He will claim P number 9, limping over the line. Almost sounded like he was out of fuel there at the end. But here are your final race results. And it's Ove Tringareed then coming home in the first position by 7.8 seconds over AJ Bear. Then in the third place will be Jeff Tyler. He's 33 seconds behind your race leader, a further 25 seconds back before he gets to Gary Teal. He's in P number 4. Benjamin Zucco, he is in 5th place, almost a minute behind your race leader, but only 6 tenths behind Gary Teal. If he had another lap, arguably, he would have been in P number 4. Scott Edwards in 6th. Then you got yourself Hideki Kavisto. He is in 7th place there from Finland. Richard Morena in 8th place. Simon Shaw in 9th. And then Tommy Unhola rounds out your top 10. Rest of the results coming up on your screen right now. Thoughts from the Nordschleife, Connery?
Again, as I said at the top of the broadcast, one of the toughest cars in the service on the toughest track in the service. You know, it's well, Norway's going to produce great racing, but for those drivers, it must have been a whole bunch of fun wheeling these cars around there. I know I've done this in practice with the Lotus 49 on this track. I can't get past the first half a lap, let alone 6 laps. So well done to these guys.
Yep, don't forget the Pro Series of Road Racing will start tomorrow at Interlagos, 1:30 p.m. GMT. In the meantime, from us here on Racespot TV, that guy's been Connery Maddock, I've been Will Vinton. We will talk to you all next time. Good night.